What's up, my Canadian cousins? Welcome back to the channel. So recently I've had bears on my brain. Yes, bears, the cute, lovable, fuzzy, deadly animals. I guess it's deadly depending on how smart or not smart you are in the way you act within their habitat. And I have been not very smart. And the reason bears have been on my brain is because my wife and I recently invested in a small place up in Vermont. It's a dream of ours that we've had for many, many years. We ski a lot in the winter and just kind of getting tired of paying other people's mortgages on Airbnbs and the like. And so we finally pulled the trigger. Well, being the suburban rubes that we are, I was not only not aware that there were bears within the vicinity, but that this year or the past year or so has seen record numbers of bears in the Green Mountains, and into people's yards and searching for food. It's, I think, a byproduct of global warming. I think it's a byproduct of loss of habitat due to human intervention and all of the above. But the point being is we were up there for the first 2 weeks after we closed, happily throwing our kitchen garbage away and putting it in a garbage shed that's kind of connected to our place, and not thinking anything of it, not doing anything right or responsible in terms of keeping the North American black bear away. And so after we left and came back down to New York, we caught this fella on our Ring camera. Yes, as you can see, this bear broke into our closet, literally ripped latch, screws and all, out of the wood frame, and got to the garbage, and then returned again the next night to see if there was more. Well, we've been back up since, and we've learned what to do and what not to do, and thus far we have not had the bear return, although there was a nice big pile of bear scat on our gravel driveway when we first got up there, so that I had to clean up too. But now we know better. But it got me thinking, as I've been looking for subject matters to cover on this channel, I frequently have come across the polar bear capital of the world in Churchill, Manitoba. And I've been, I don't know why, it just never grabbed my interest. And so I never stopped to think about doing it. But as we've had our own little bear experience now, and we kind of understand what to do and what not to do, and how the North American black bear, by and large, is afraid of people, afraid of dogs, even small dogs. So my dog probably is not in much danger, but we still have to be vigilant and smart, because it's a very powerful animal, and there are circumstances we can find ourselves in where we don't want to challenge whether this bear is going to run away or do something else. In other parts of North America and Canada and the US, there are brown bears, which are, to my understanding, more aggressive and more dangerous. The grizzly bear is certainly a very powerful, dangerous animal, but the king of them all is the polar bear. There's scarcely a place in North America where significant numbers of people live among polar bears. In the United States, I don't even know. I assume certain parts of Alaska, very scarcely populated parts of Alaska. I do wonder if loss of habitat and global warming is driving polar bears south. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Maybe you all know. But a place where for quite some time people have been living among polar bears is Churchill, Manitoba. So I'm going to react to that. I'm going to check this out. There is a Canadian YouTuber called Downie Live, and he took a rail trip from Winnipeg up to Churchill. A 24-hour rail trip. So he starts there and then ends up in Churchill. And let's see what we see here, my friends. All right, stick with me. I'll see you on the flip side. Oh, and please, if you're so inclined and you enjoy this content, like and subscribe.
Woo, it's cold. This is the most north I have ever been. This is the polar bear capital of the world. This is Churchill, Manitoba. And I got here by sitting on this train for 2 days.
This is Via Rail's most northern route, starting in Winnipeg and heading straight north for over 1,000 kilometers across the prairies until we cross into the permafrost region of the tundra, 48 hours later.
Where did everyone go?
Arriving in the remote town of Churchill, Manitoba, best known as the polar bear capital of the world. Not only will I show you one of Via Rail's least known adventure routes and what 2 days aboard this train is like, but also how a small city of 800 people managed to stay safe while along the migratory path of 800 polar bears. And yes, that's a 1-to-1 ratio of people to polar bears.
Hope he's not shooting.
It's been one of the most memorable trips to date, and I'm glad I got to do it all with my dad.
The channel is Downie Live. I'm Michael. Let's get this one started.
I'm sure
So
not.
to start, we booked our tickets and jumped onto a plane from Vancouver to Winnipeg.
where this train trip begins.
If you look at my dad, it looks like we're backpacking across Europe. We're just taking one train. So our trip starts here in Winnipeg. We are at the intersection of Maine and Portage, which, if you're Canadian, you know it's the windiest intersection in Canada. And the fact that it's -5 degrees doesn't make it any more enjoyable.
Quite cold, quite cold. Oh my goodness. And that's all the way down in Winnipeg. Let's see what it's going to be way up in Churchill.
All right, let's do this. And this is Winnipeg Union Station. Very nice. Very quiet. So we actually have a little bit of time until our train leaves. So inside the station here is the Winnipeg Railway Museum. Just up these stairs. They're actually on tracks 1 and 2 that they've covered and blocked off for use of the museum. This steam locomotive is exactly what you expect when you think of an old-fashioned steam locomotive. It was made in 1872. CPR number 1. This is the first train by CPR.
I did a video on the building of the Canadian Pacific Railway. It's very cool.
Along with the Railway Museum, there are historic photographs depicting the station's importance in history and why it has been designated as a National Historic Site in Canada. And with that, it's time to board. Leaving Winnipeg, Canada's 7th most populated city, is not the most scenic route in Canada, but it is perhaps one of the most important, as it is at the center of Canada, making it a transportation hub, often called the gateway to the west.
All right, here we go.
But in today's case, it's our gateway to the north.
Just like that, we're out of the city, and it's probably gonna look a lot like this for the next 2 days. Flat and snowy.
Completely non sequitur. I love the Winnipeg Jets relatively new logo with the Royal Canadian Air Force symbol. And the jet in between looks awesome.
Literally nothing to do for the next 48 hours. Has not taken him long to be rocked to sleep.
With most of southern and central Manitoba being prairie farmland, I spent the next few hours looking out at farm after farm roll past until I started to just film the gravel roads that would cross the tracks from time to time, as they became the most interesting things in sight. So, after the excitement of rolling through a small town, we're quickly back to empty fields again.
Look out the window and enjoy the scenery of your country. Parts of it you'll probably never see otherwise.
Feels like the right time to ask my dad why he decided to come on this trip in the first place.
Because you invited me.
Yeah.
And I never say no.
Yeah, it's a good attitude to have.
I've learned as you get older in life, never say no. Opportunities come along and there's not that much time on the other side to say I'll do it later.
Even if that means sleeping in a chair for 2 nights?
Ask me in 2 nights.
Yeah.
Beautiful attitude, my friend.
Breakfast time. Breakfast in the north.
And once the sun came up, we were pulling into Churchill, the polar bear capital of the world, pretty much right on time at 9 a.m., which means the train trip is over, but the rest of our trip is just getting started.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful trip.
After 2 days on the Via Rail train from Winnipeg to Churchill, Manitoba, my dad and I have arrived in the polar bear capital of the world. We've come all this way to see the migrating polar bears before they head out onto the ice of the mighty Hudson's Bay. So we're adventuring into the protected wildlife management area on a giant polar rover designed to traverse snow and ice, allowing us to get up close and personal with these wild bears.
You're Taylor?
Designed to traverse snow and ice and high enough off the ground and large enough that the bears can't get to you, right? So that they're waiting for this ice to freeze on Hudson's Bay to go hunting. Wow, Hudson's Bay is huge, right? I mean, I think it's just gigantic.
Nice to meet you. We're with North Star Tours today. They came and picked us right up from the train station. It's 9 in the morning. Got off the train, we're fresh, we had our coffee, and we're ready to start our tour looking for polar bears.
Our day starts with North Star Tours to take us through town to see some of the historical sites, as well as learn about living alongside these polar bears, which ended in a marriage proposal in front of a napping polar bear. This is literally my wildest video ever.
It's crazy beautiful though.
Never, ever in my life have I seen a polar bear crossing sign. What? I might as well make the introductions. If you didn't meet him in the last video, this is my dad, Rick, traveling with him. And then I just met Harley and Robert, who are on our tour with us today. So you'll probably see them in and around.
So we're on a 4-person tour with our guide, Taylor. This city and sights tour is to show us around town, inform us of the history of Churchill.
I love how he calls it a city.
Like how it was Canada's only permanent rocket launch site. Now our first stop of the day is here at Cape Mary to look out at
Only permanent rocket launch site. I guess that's probably because of how far north it is as a overarching protection or defense from Cold War era, from Soviet missiles coming across over the top of the North Pole. Is that right?
Prince of Wales Fort, a National Historic Site. Now the first thing you'll notice is Taylor is always carrying his gun and always taking the high ground to keep an eye out for polar bears.
I have to admit, we're all looking around because there's a lot of hiding spots for polar bears here, and you know, them being white, pretty easy to not notice, especially if they're snoozing or taking their afternoon nap and we all of a sudden come up on them. So we have Taylor up front, who's locked and loaded, ready to go. What do you?
That's a little scary when you're on a vacation tour and your guide has to have a gun to protect you from a very deadly, you know, one of God's creatures, but beautiful but deadly. I'll tell you, I went on vacation to Belize and we went to the inner rainforest to see a Mayan ruin called Caracol, and it's not very well developed. To get there, we had to drive for a couple of hours in the mountains on dirt roads, and ultimately we had to stop at a checkpoint for the Belize Defense Force to escort us in with machine guns because they were also protecting us from God's deadliest creature in the form of other human beings, Guatemalan bandits who crossed the border into Belize to victimize and sometimes even kidnap Western tourists. So yeah, that was fun. That was interesting.
What are you packing there for our safety?
I got a 12 gauge here. I just use bear bangers and rubber bullets. Basically
okay.
A noisemaker.
Yeah, just to scare them.
Yeah.
It was at this point that
Non-lethal.
Robert pulled me aside.
Okay, we're off to the next spot.
Hey Mike. Hey Mike, so I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend. Do you mind if you catch it on camera for me?
Yes, no.
Aw.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. That's rad.
Yeah, thanks man.
From here on out, our goal is to find the perfect spot to propose for Robert.
We saw our first bit of wildlife. I think it was perfect. Didn't set the expectations too high. It's a fox. It's great to see, but it's not a polar bear. We're building up to it. This is good.
Beautiful fox.
Hey Mike. Yeah. I think I might do it at your crash site there.
We can go in there?
Yeah. So that gunshot was to scare away a polar bear, we think. It wasn't from us who shot it. It's on the other side, which means they're scaring a polar bear this way. So we're all gonna get back into the van.
Radio each other and they all chase us. Must be in here.
Pause for a second. Holy crap. Oh, that's one way to propose. Is that the fates sending you a signal? No, hope not.
Oh, there he is on the right, up right here at like the 2 o'clock. This is crazy. This is different than whale watching or something where you just get up to them to see them.
Yeah.
This is also a dangerous thing to do. So
we don't get out.
Taylor, you copy? Yeah, you drove right by us and saw you drive in front of me.
this is too good.
They don't want to harm the bear. They just want to get it out of the way of people.
Right. This is like a Canadian safari.
Yeah, it's like a safari.
Look at that. This is a clean
It's
one.
a good analogy.
My gosh.
You think the legend of Bigfoot came from bear prints? You think?
Oh, there he is.
Oh my god.
Running there, do you see it? Who's chasing him there?
A last case resort if the bear won't
Those conservation officers have stones of steel, my friends. Whoa.
leave or gets aggressive is to trap a bear in one of these temporary cages, where the bear will be brought here to the polar bear holding facility, which can hold up to 30 polar bears at a
Bear
time,
jail.
where they'll stay until the ice freezes over, and then they're safely released into the bay.
Wow.
This is like crawling on the moon.
I know, right?
Remember,
That
all of this
landscape
action
is
interrupted
crazy.
Robert's proposal. So we've ended up down on the beach where we've come across another large male polar bear walking in our direction. So we've decided to stop and just watch.
Oh my god.
There's a bear walking towards us at Stiggy Creek here.
Basically, the polar bears at this point are just waiting for the ice to freeze. That's where they do all their hunting, their seal hunting, and they can't really do much until the ice is frozen. So they're here, and they're just waiting. He's not eating, he's not really looking for food, it's just killing time.
And I understand that polar bears, unlike most other bears, do not hibernate during the winter, right? I think unless they're pregnant.
Look at that. So big. Just comes over, peaceful.
Magnificent.
What a beautiful day.
Yeah.
You ready for us? Yeah, grab some shots, Steph.
Much better location than a plane crash to propose.
Yeah. Just give me a second.
Oh yeah.
Aw.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
Yeah!
That was good. Yeah, no, this was.
Not the most poetic couple in the world. He's a man of few words, got straight to the point, and her reaction is the best. But you know what? Maybe words aren't necessary when you're standing where they're standing. Beautiful.
Thrilling
Cute.
with them, with the
Adorable.
polar bear, and then this is just like the cherry on top.
So good.
Yeah.
You just got proposed to in front of a polar bear.
We forgot about the bear, guys.
Aw.
You literally
sweet.
had a polar bear witness your proposal.
Look at him. He's just like.
Did you suspect anything?
No, this was well hidden.
Ah, that's so fun. So cute. Love it. Love it.
This is a polar rover. While I didn't think anything could beat the excitement of yesterday,
I would love to see a polar rover drive right down Broadway in New York City.
wildlife tour on this bad boy blew me away.
So I learned today that the Hudson Bay is so big you can fit the entire state of Texas into the Hudson Bay and it wouldn't touch any of the edges of the bay. That's how big this is. So this is the wildlife management area. It's essentially a nature reserve.
Doesn't
So
actually
only permitted
doesn't
vehicles
actually
can
surprise
come in
me.
here. And we're actually driving on old military roads. There used to be a significant military base here in Churchill back in the day, back in the 50s, 60s. And all of these paths, trails, roads, they were for military training exercises. That's what we're on.
It didn't take us long for us to come across our first polar bear of the day. Now, without any real predators, they aren't that scared of you. And if anything, they're even somewhat curious.
Probably used to it. if these tours are going on all the time.
Wow. Wow.
But don't let their cute and cuddly look fool
See, and that's
you.
the problem, because
They're also very dangerous.
right. I'm going to pause for a second. I was going to say that's the problem, because you have an experience like this and you almost want to just reach out and pet them. They just look, you know, beautiful and friendly and docile, but no, sir. Ugh. When I was a kid, a child got into the polar bear cage in the Central Park Zoo, and they didn't find much of them. It was terrible.
Tour of a lifetime right here.
Beautiful.
Incredible. Amazing. It's amazing.
The reason these bears all migrate to Churchill is that this is where the ice freezes
Correct.
first in the Hudson Bay, allowing them to get out.
Hold that thought. I do want to know why the bears migrate to Churchill, but I was just about to say that, you know, you can tell they're awe-inspired, and I am just watching it on a small screen, reacting to it here on Long Island, New York. I can't imagine what it's like being there.
And seal hunting sooner. But until the ice freezes fully,
Okay.
they're essentially just waiting.
And in case you're wondering, the temperature is about minus 10 Celsius. That's about 15 to 20 Fahrenheit.
Now this was a very lucky moment. As we look out at the bay, we can see a mother with 3 cubs, triplets, a very rare sight.
There's 3.
Once the ice freezes over, these bears will be gone. They'll be out at sea, hunting seal and living on the ice until the spring when it all melts.
All of this will be frozen within a week, and we got here just at the right time.
Over the summer, they make the long
Crazy.
trek back to Churchill, where they arrive in the fall, where they wait for the ice to freeze again. And the cycle starts over.
And if you want to see my polar bear photos, you can follow me on Instagram at Downie Live, and I'll be posting them all there. So we're actually only been here about 5 minutes. We're going to continue on because we think there's another family up ahead. This is the realities of polar bear tours, but I'll show you why.
Wow. Just beautiful.
We've seen 15 bears today in total.
Just today.
Just today, 15 bears.
Would you recommend to come to Churchill?
Oh, you can't believe it. And you get here and you go, wow, it's unbelievable.
15.
There's a phenomenal experience, but they said we had an outstanding day. So I absolutely do not guarantee that you'll see as many triplets and twins and all that as we saw, but you will have a great time, and I recommend it. So this was Great White Bear Tours, but I think any rover buggy tour you take, you can't go wrong.
And with that, it's time to meet up with Kelly and Scott, who we sat next to on the train for 2 days to get here and share stories over a local beer.
New friends now, old friends.
This isn't all there is to Churchill. So come back next week and I'll show you what it's actually like
Very
to live in
nice.
a northern remote
What a way to
town
end the
in Canada.
day.
Now we're gonna go see what we can see. The channel's Downie Live. I don't know where I'm going next, but I know I want you there with me. See you then.
Yeah, man, that was beautiful. That was amazing. He got so many good shots, and it seems like they were very lucky with the amount of bears they encountered. The guy running after the bear with the gun making the noise. Oh, what bravery. Oh my goodness gracious. That is amazing. I'm also surprised that the mother bear brought her cubs so close to humans on the rover. It just shows you how, I think, used to they are being around them. And I guess maybe understand that that vehicle with the people on it are not a threat. That was something else. And now I know why Churchill is the polar bear capital of the world. And one of the reasons why that didn't interest me is because I thought maybe that was just sort of a touristy trap kind of place where there's, making the claim to be the polar bear capital of the world just to bring in tourism. And I'm sure tourism is very, very vital to the local economy given how small the community is. But it's true. The migratory patterns, as he said, is what brings the bears there. That part of Hudson Bay freezes earliest, and so the bears can get the jump start on their hunting season. So that's why they're there. And it really, really is the polar bear capital. They all converge there. So that was very cool to learn. Yeah, I mean, look, nature is amazing and wonderful. You have to respect it and be smart about it, or you can make mistakes that could cost you your life. I kind of know that from traveling around, but yet I made a stupid mistake in my Vermont place by not understanding that, something as simple as to how to dispose of my trash, because I really did not know that there were so many black bears around. But anyway, now I know and I'll be smarter. And this was fascinating, my friends. So until next time, I bid you a very fond farewell. Again, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. Have a very wonderful day. Take care.